Every nation in the world has armed forces which vary in strength. In today's video, we are going to rank the top 50 armies in the world. Let us begin. Number 50. Denmark. Danish armed forces have 16,000 active military personnel, 44 tanks, 115 aircraft, and 74 naval assets. Number 49. Ethiopia. Ethiopian National Defense Force has 150,000 active military personnel, 468 tanks, and 89 aircraft. Number 48. Czechia. The Army of the Czech Republic has 26,000 active military personnel, 50 tanks, and 97 aircraft. Number 47. Romania. Romanian armed forces have 67,000 active military personnel, 431 tanks, 146 aircraft, and 45 naval assets. Number 46. Chile. The Chilean army has 80,000 active military personnel, 270 tanks, 289 aircraft, and 112 naval assets. Number 45. Iraq. Iraqi armed forces have 200,000 active military personnel, 508 tanks, 361 aircraft, and 63 naval assets. Number 44. Switzerland. Swiss armed forces have 24,000 active military personnel, 380 tanks, and 148 aircraft. Number 43. Colombia. The National Army of Colombia has 360,000 active military personnel, 465 aircraft, and 265 naval assets. Number 42. Malaysia. Malaysian armed forces have 85,000 active military personnel, 48 tanks, 147 aircraft, and 82 naval assets. Number 41. Portugal. Portuguese armed forces have 27,000 active military personnel, 37 tanks, 104 aircraft, and 111 naval assets. Number 40. Bangladesh. Bangladesh armed forces have 165,000 active military personnel, 281 tanks, 204 aircraft, and 112 naval assets. Number 39. Netherlands. Netherlands armed forces have 35,000 active military personnel, 18 tanks, 136 aircraft, and 61 naval assets. Number 38. Myanmar. The Myanmar army has 400,000 active military personnel, 715 tanks, 280 aircraft, and 210 naval assets. Number 37. Sweden. Swedish Armed Forces have 16,000 active military personnel, 121 tanks, 205 aircraft, and 367 naval assets. Number 36. Nigeria. Nigerian Armed Forces have 135,000 active military personnel, 177 tanks, 144 aircraft, and 136 naval assets. Number 35. Norway. Norwegian Armed Forces have 23,000 active military personnel, 52 tanks, 100 aircraft, and 48 naval assets. Number 34. North Korea. The Korean People's Army has 1.2 million active military personnel, 6,645 tanks, 947 aircraft, and 519 naval assets. Number 33. South Africa. The South African National Defence Force has 40,200 active military personnel, 195 tanks, 226 aircraft, and 47 naval assets. Number 32. Philippines. The Armed Forces of the Philippines has 101,000 active military personnel, 188 aircraft, and 93 naval assets. Number 31. Mexico. Mexican Armed Forces have 250,000 active military personnel, 486 aircraft, and 194 naval assets. Number 30. Greece. Hellenic Armed Forces have 130,000 active military personnel, 1,365 tanks, 665 aircraft, and 120 naval assets. Number 29. Singapore. Singapore Armed Forces have 60,000 active military personnel, 170 tanks, 248 aircraft. Argentina. The Armed Forces of the Argentine Republic have 83,000 active military personnel, 414 tanks, 228 aircraft, and 47 naval assets. Number 27. Canada. Canadian Armed Forces have 70,000 active military personnel, 82 tanks, 379 aircraft, and 61 naval assets. Number 26. Algeria. Algerian People's National Army has 130,000 active military personnel, 1,700 tanks, 547 aircraft, and 201 naval assets. Number 25. Germany. German Army has 184,000 active military personnel, 266 tanks, 601 aircraft, and 80 naval assets. Number 24. Thailand. Royal Thai Armed Forces have 350,000 active military personnel, 587 tanks, 488 aircraft, and 292 naval assets. Number 23. Taiwan. Taiwanese armed forces have 170,000 active military personnel, 1,012 tanks, 737 aircraft, and 117 naval assets. Number 22. Saudi Arabia. The armed forces of Saudi Arabia have 225,000 active military personnel, 1,273 tanks, 897 aircraft, and 57 naval assets. Number 21. Spain. Spanish armed forces have 120,000 active military personnel, 327 tanks, 517 aircraft, and 167 naval assets. Number 20. Poland. Polish armed forces have 120,000 active military personnel, 567 tanks, 459 aircraft, and 86 naval assets. Number 19. Vietnam. The People's Army of Vietnam has 470,000 active military personnel, 1,829 tanks, 223 aircraft, and 109 naval assets. Number 18. Israel. Israel Defense Forces have 173,000 active military personnel, 2,200 tanks, 601 aircraft, and 67 naval assets. Number 17. Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran armed forces have 575,000 active military personnel, 4,071 tanks, 541 aircraft, and 101 naval assets. Number 16. Australia. Australian Defence Force has 60,500 active military personnel, 59 tanks, 353 aircraft, and 43 naval assets. Number 15. Ukraine. The armed forces of Ukraine have 200,000 active military personnel, 1,890 tanks, 312 aircraft, and 38 naval assets. Number 14. Egypt. The Egyptian armed forces have 440,000 active military personnel, 4,664 tanks, 1,069 aircraft, and 245 naval assets. Number 13. Indonesia. Indonesian National Armed Forces have 400,000 active military personnel, 314 tanks, 466 aircraft, and 324 naval assets. Number 12. Brazil. Brazilian armed forces have 360,000 active military personnel, 466 tanks, 665 aircraft, and 112 naval assets. Number 11. Turkey. Turkish armed forces have 425,000 active military personnel, 2,229 tanks, 1,065 aircraft, and 154 naval assets. Number 10. Italy. Italian armed forces have 170,000 active military personnel, 197 tanks, 850 aircraft, and 313 naval assets. Number 9. France. French armed forces have 205,000 active military personnel, 222 tanks, 1,004 aircraft, and 126 naval assets. Number 8. Japan. Japan's self-defense forces have 240,000 active military personnel, 1,004 tanks, 1,451 aircraft, and 155 naval assets. Number 7. Pakistan. Pakistan Armed Forces have 654,000 active military personnel, 3,742 tanks, 1,413 aircraft, and 114 naval assets. Number 6. South Korea. The Republic of Korea Armed Forces have 555,000 active military personnel, 2,331 tanks, 1,602 aircraft, and 157 naval assets. Number 5. United Kingdom. British Armed Forces have 194,000 active military personnel, 277 tanks, 663 aircraft, and 73 naval assets. Number 4. India. Indian Armed Forces have 1,450,000 active military personnel, 4,614 tanks, 2,210 aircraft, and 295 naval assets. Number 3. China. The People's Liberation Army has 2 million active military personnel, 4,950 tanks, 3,166 aircraft, and 730 naval assets. Number 2. Russia. Russian armed forces have 830,900 active military personnel, 12,566 tanks, 4,182 aircraft, and 598 naval assets. Number 1. United States of America. United States Armed Forces have 1,390,000 active military personnel, 5,500 tanks, 13,300 aircraft, and 484 naval assets.